Welcome back to Royals Review. I'm your host, Dan Worth, and I'm joined as ever by my good friend, Jimmy. You join us on another down and negative Royals Review podcast. I'm really hoping in the very near future there will be some where we are upbeat, happy, and positive about our club. Fresh off the back of a 5-2 thumping from Bolton, which we obviously discussed last week, Jim. Any surprises? I mean, the result is obviously a surprise. Not necessarily that we lost, but to lose by that many goals is, not ideal. Any surprise or anything stand out for you, Jim?
I think the scoreline is probably the biggest standout. Pardon me. 5-2. I know there are a bunch of penalties, but I thought we've had like a relatively solid start to the season defensively. And I think since Pereira's injury, that's all just sort of fallen apart now. I mean, it's a terrible result, really. 5-2, not what we need right now. The table looks a whole lot different. I know it's early days, but I think with the latest news, I think we just need to be prepared to just try and avoid relegation again, really.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of games to play still, but it is looking that way when you consider everything that's happened this week. But we'll touch on that a little bit later. Sticking with the Bolton game, then obviously we had Boyce Clark in last time and Button in this time. Button conceded 5 after me saying I'd probably start him over Boyce Clark against Bolton. I actually just looked on whoscored.com and both of those keepers are Reading's 2 lowest rated players this season, which doesn't really come as a surprise. But it just shows you, as you were saying earlier, actually, like how important Pereira is for Reading. But we'll be without him for a little bit longer. Where do you stand for the Huddersfield game? Would you stick with Button or go back to Boyce Clark?
I really don't know. I think I'd probably stick with Button. I don't think it's fully down to him, the fact that we conceded 5 goals. I just think in general the defence was terrible. Mbenge gave away a penalty, Bindon gave away a penalty, Dorset just didn't look interested at all. He's terrible at tracking back, terrible at covering if Bindon was going out wide. I think it was just the whole defence in general need to up their game and not sort of put it all down to a keeper. I know it's hard, and like we were saying last week as well, how much confidence it would put into the back four having a decent keeper like Pereira behind them. I think you can tell that they're nowhere near as confident as they were a couple of weeks back. But I think for Huddersfield, I'd probably just stick with Button. I don't really think either Button or Boyce Clark. They're not going to be the ones that are going to sort of change the game. I think it's the actual defence that needs to sort itself out.
Yeah, you're right, and the defence did Button no favours at the weekend, but it was actually quite strange to see the stat that Reading have not saved a penalty since the Raphael days. Now, I don't really know how that stands against other teams, but that feels like a very long time. But obviously, Button can do that with the 2 that he conceded against Bolton. And one defender I wanted to pick out, actually, and not necessarily to throw lots of blame on him, but Mbenge was a little bit all over the place against Bolton, and it's something that we've discussed on this pod before, of him, being a little bit crazy, to be honest. And looking on whoscored.com, it was his worst rated performance this season for Reading, which comes as no surprise. Obviously, give away a penalty, concede 5 goals. It's not ideal. But what do you think it is with Mbenge, Jim, at the moment? Do you think it's just, I don't know, overworked, lack of nous at centre back? I really don't know what it is.
I really don't know either, to be honest. I just think maybe, there's so much pressure on this squad. It's, there's just about enough players to field an all right starting 11. And if the game isn't going our way, then I guess sometimes it might just cross their mind that they need to take the game into their own hands slightly. I mean, I think, I do think Mbenge fancies himself, with the crazy runs that he goes on, and putting in crazy challenges and being able to come out better than whoever he's coming up against. And I don't think that's a bad trait to have. In fact, I actually think that's a really good trait to have for a centre half. But I just think he needs to, know when the right time is to make those decisions, to make those challenges. But yeah, I just think with everything that's going on, with the news that they would have been dreading to hear this week, their heads must just be scrambled. And it's shown in the last two games, against Bolton and against Leyton Orient. They were just they were a shadow of the teams that how they've been playing before that. So fingers crossed against Huddersfield. But yeah, I'm sure Sellers will know that it's not just the keeper, and defensively we haven't been great in the last couple of matches. So yeah, it would be good to see how they perform against Huddersfield on the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. We said last time out, we've got a game coming up pretty quickly for the players to bounce back, and the same applies. We've got Huddersfield just around the corner. But we've discussed actually not that long ago that with the squad depth that Reading have, we have to expect that we are going to get beaten. And sometimes in this division, you get beaten by a few goals, and that's the case against Bolton. I know it's all if, buts, and maybes, but if you take away the two penalties and the free kick, it's a 3-2 game. You'd come away with that without too much complaint away at Bolton, one of the tougher places to go in the league. So I think there are some positives to take. The main one for me is Sam Smith getting on the score sheet again. Obviously, strikers are focused on their goal scoring output, and Smith is well underway now this season, which we both are very aware that will be key to whatever targets Reading have, which, as we've kind of discussed now, is probably just beating the drop. But even if it is to finish mid-table or get in the playoffs, Smith will have a massive impact or input, on that. So him finding the back of the net again is definitely a big positive, and he does like to go on streaks. So hopefully he's firing again against Huddersfield. Any positives from you, Jim?
Yeah, just to sort of say exactly what you said, basically. Yeah, it's great that Smith got on the score sheet, and there were a lot of, most dead piece, set piece goals throughout that game. I guess it kind of felt like as soon as Reading may have had a slight grip into the game, they just got shot straight back down again. So yeah, maybe on another day they could have got a better result. But yeah, I think the 2 goal, it was a decent penalty, and yeah, it's great that Smith scored, but also Ben Elliott's goal was very good. So I mean, yeah, both glad that they've got on the score sheet, but I just think overall the result 5-2, it's just not what you want right now, is it?
No, and it's obviously compounded, as we've alluded to quite a lot already in this show, by a terrible, terrible week for our club, FC. I'd actually go as far as to say this has been the hardest week of my Royal supporting life. With the Rob Couhig's attempts to purchase the club had fallen through, and the exclusivity period had ended, and Dayong and co now looking new suitor. I don't really have the words to describe what that means to us as fans or and there is a lot of uncertainty still swirling around as to where we go from here. People are positive, some people are very negative. As I say, have no idea what's going to happen. So I'm really hoping we can get a result against Huddersfield, because the last week has been particularly tough. I know you've been quite active on Twitter, Jim, about the takeover stuff. You may have something to add that I've not covered off.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of the takeover, this is like as low as I've felt about it over the whole period of time. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, no one knows what's going on, or shall I say, very few people know exactly what's going on. Everyone's got their suspicions. There was a lot of interesting news that came out this week, hinting that it's an issue far bigger than what we're aware of. But that news, that news is with the people who can actually do something with it. So I think we should just, let them deal with that, and let's see how that goes. But yeah, it's just a shit show. I would love to know the reason why Couhig's deal fell through, or shall I say, that's the thing. Do I really want to know? This is the
Yeah.
issue. Ultimately, I just want the club back, working as a regular club in League One, in the Championship, wherever. I just want there to be a club, matches to go and watch each season. But just with everything that's going on, it's just really hard to sort of get any idea on what to expect over the next few weeks, over the next few months. You've got so many people saying so many different stories, half of which are all complete bullshit, half of which might have some legs to it. But yeah, like I said, ultimately there are very few people that know what's going on. So I think we're just going to have to sort of strap in, and yeah, just wait and see what the next month or so has in stock. Yeah, get behind the team. I think it's beyond, pitch invasions and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've got any more to add to it, but it's just I've got my own sort of like picture of how I think things are going on, but it's nothing that I really fancy like sharing with anyone, because it's just all speculation. It's just to keep me relatively sane and think that I've got some idea on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be the only one there. And I think you hit the nail on the head, actually, that all we can do right now is get behind the team, get behind Sellers, because as we all know, it has nothing to do with them, what's going on. They're fighting for our club as much as they possibly can and doing quite a good job of it. Every time I hear Sellers speak, I love the guy even more. He deserves the world, and unfortunately we can't give him that at the moment, but he's still sticking by us, and I really appreciate it. But I do encourage anyone who's listening, whether you support Reading or not, to keep raising awareness of our case, whether that's tweets or whatever. I don't think we need to be doing anything stupid right now, but I do think it's important that we keep talking about what's going on. And I know a lot of podcasts. I know the Not the Top 20 pod did an 8-minute segment on them, so like good work from them, and a lot of big like MSM media are raising awareness of the case and keeping it in the forefront. So I think that's really important. But yeah, let's just get back behind the team, onto Huddersfield, and hopefully we'll finally have some positivity not too far around the corner. But look, enough on the takeover. We know it's dreary. And yeah, anyway, Huddersfield. So aside from the 4-0 versus Bolton recently, I think they've looked quite shaky, to be perfectly honest. They do have the third best goal difference in the league, though, and they are fifth. They come to the Select Car Leasing to face a Reading team that are also winless in a little while. What are your thoughts, Jim? Do you think Reading bounce back here?
I really hope so. Yeah, I mean, they're another decent side who will likely be, in and around the playoffs come the end of the season. But yeah, fortunately, they got beat on the weekend against Northampton 3-1.
Yeah.
So yeah, a good opportunity for us to bounce back at home. With everything that's gone on this week, I think people should be like really trying to get behind the team. 3 points would be fantastic. Can I see it happening? Probably not. I'd take a draw. yeah, I just think there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the team at the moment, and it just sort of needs to like settle down a bit. But yeah, 3 points. I mean, come on, you're not saying no to that.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, Huddersfield have to play before they face us. They have Blackpool
Oh yeah,
tomorrow
of
night,
course.
so
Yeah,
that's something to consider, whether that will have an implication on their fitness. The only thing I have to say is that the last time they came to our stadium, we won 3-1. So that's a nice positive, although we don't have an amazing record against Huddersfield. But yeah, you're right. Back at home, with hopefully a strong crowd, as we've spoken about, everyone is sort of galvanised now and back behind the team. So hopefully a positive result for us. Right, quite a hard pod considering both of us are ill, and it's been a shit week for Reading FC, but we made it through, Jim.
yeah.
I guess we end it
No
the way we always
questions.
end it.
Did we get any questions in on Twitter, or we've
No,
not? We're not that
no,
popular yet.
no one fancied it. No one fancied it, even
What
after
about
my plea.
Oh, we need. Was it Alistair? Was that his name? The
Yeah,
one
Alistair.
question submitter
The
so
one
far.
question we've had so far, mate. One day it will be big, and
Yeah.
we'll get loads. We'll get loads of questions.
Uh huh.
Well, let's end it on one last question, then, Jim. Let's have a score prediction for Huddersfield.
I am gonna say 1-1. Boring on the fence. I need to start having some more interesting predictions because I'm pretty sure I've said 1-1 for like any relatively sketchy match, which is probably going to be like 95% of them this season. So yeah, I'll take 1-1, put it that way. But hopefully, Sam Smith and Ben Elliott are on a mad one now, and they both get a brace or a hat trick each or something. We'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, we will. I agree with you. I definitely think I'm going to go for 2-1 Reading. I think Nibs being back and getting some more minutes under his belt, he's going to have a big game against Huddersfield. And I might even go for a Nibs Smith double, 2-1 to the Royals. So getting those 3 points on the board that we so desperately want. Right, Jim, thanks very much for joining me. We made it to the 17-minute mark after saying there was nothing to talk about. So thanks for that. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Do like, follow, and subscribe to make sure you get all of the latest episodes and all of the rubbish that we talk on straight to your phone or wherever you receive it in the week. And hopefully Reading bring back the 3 points. Come on, you Rs.
See you later, mate.